Welcome to our deep dive into the history of chess. You're curious about this game, how it began, how it spread, how it became the game we know today, and we'll unravel that story together.
Okay.
And to help us navigate this journey, we have a true chess aficionado.
Happy to be here.
All right.
Chess history is a fascinating puzzle
Yeah.
with pieces scattered across time and continents.
Okay, let's unpack this puzzle.
Okay.
Starting with those mysterious origins.
Right.
I know there's no definitive answer to where chess began, but
Yeah.
what are the leading contenders?
Well, the most popular theory places the game's birth in India,
Okay.
around the 6th century AD. Back then, it was likely known as Chaturanga, meaning four divisions. This name is a clue as it represents the four parts of the ancient Indian army:
Okay.
chariots, elephants, cavalry, and infantry.
So right from the start, chess had a connection to military strategy.
Yes,
Is it fair to say Chaturanga was a war game?
absolutely.
Okay.
But while the Indian origin story is widely accepted, other intriguing possibilities exist.
Yeah.
Some scholars point to the ancient Chinese game Shangqi,
Okay.
with roots potentially extending as far back as the 2nd century BC.
That's even older than Chaturanga. What makes some researchers favor the Shanki theory?
It's a complex web of evidence and interpretation. Some point to similarities in the pieces and board layout, suggesting a possible lineage.
Okay.
Then there's the Persian theory,
Right.
where archaeological finds in Persia predate similar discoveries in India.
So we've got India, China, and Persia all vying for the title of chess birthplace. What are some of the key pieces of evidence or arguments for each?
Well, one intriguing piece of evidence supporting the Indian theory comes from language.
What?
The Persian word shatranj and similar terms in other languages seem to have evolved from the Sanskrit chaturanga.
Okay.
This linguistic connection suggests a possible line of descent from India westward.
That's a strong argument for the Indian origin. What about the other contenders? Any compelling counterpoints?
For the Chinese origin, proponents argue that certain game mechanics and piece movements in Jiangyi bear striking similarities to chess,
Okay.
suggesting a possible connection. However, critics of this theory point to significant differences in board setup and overall gameplay.
And what about Persia? What evidence supports their claim?
The archaeological findings in Persia are significant because they suggest the existence of a game with chess-like characteristics predating similar evidence found in India.
Okay.
However, even those who support the Persian theory acknowledge the influence of Indian culture on Persian society, making it difficult to completely disentangle the two.
It sounds like regardless of where it truly began, chess was already taking shape as a game of strategic depth and complexity.
Exactly. Regardless of the exact origin, those early forms of chess shared fundamental elements with the game we know today.
Okay.
Two players, a symmetrical starting arrangement of pieces, distinct piece movements,
Right.
and the goal of capturing a specific piece, the king.
Those core elements have persisted across centuries and continents. It's fascinating to think about. So listener, which origin story resonates most with you? What evidence do you find most compelling? This is a real-life historical mystery with ongoing research and debate.
Yeah.
Okay, let's trace chess's journey as it moves beyond its birthplace, wherever that may be.
Right.
And how did this journey begin? Where did chess go next?
From its likely origins in India, chess probably traveled westward to Persia.
Okay.
By the 7th century AD, it was adopted by the Arabs.
Okay.
And this is where it gets interesting.
I'm intrigued. What happened in the Arab world?
Despite some religious debate about its permissibility, chess became a beloved pastime throughout the Islamic world. By the 10th century,
Wow.
it had spread across North Africa and even reached Spain.
Chess conquering new territory amidst controversy. Did it face similar pushback as it continued to spread?
Interestingly, yes. When chess arrived in Europe by the 11th century, it encountered resistance from certain religious factions.
Okay.
However, despite those objections,
Chess was embraced by both the nobility and the clergy,
right.
becoming a pastime for people from all walks of life.
Imagine knights and bishops playing chess in their medieval castles.
Yeah.
It really does transcend those social barriers.
It does. And perhaps that's part of the reason for its enduring appeal.
Yeah.
On the chessboard, even upon the humblest piece,
Right.
has the potential to become a queen, the most powerful.
Yeah.
This resonates in a society with rigid social structures.
That's a really interesting point. Were there any significant changes to the game itself during this period as it spread across Europe?
There was very noteworthy shift in the game around this time.
Yeah.
The first mention of a queen piece comes from a European source.
Interesting.
Before that, the piece we now know as the queen had a much more limited role in the game.
So the queen's rise to power began in Europe. It makes you wonder, did this change in the game reflect some of the social and cultural changes happening in Europe at the time?
That's an intriguing question.
Yeah, and one that historians continue to explore. Some scholars suggest that the Queen's newfound power might have mirrored the growing influence of powerful women in European society.
Yeah.
Of course, this is just one interpretation,
Right.
but it highlights how even a game like chess can reflect the broader cultural and societal currents of its time.
So we've seen chess journey from possibly India, China, or Persia,
Right.
and watched it spread across continents,
Yeah.
adopted and adapted by diverse cultures.
Yeah.
What stands out to you about this initial chapter of chess history, listener?
Mm-hmm.
Are any particular details jumping out? We're about to enter a period of radical transformation for chess as it moves beyond its ancient roots and evolves into the game we know today. All right, let's fast forward to the 15th century.
Okay.
This is where chess takes a dramatic turn, evolving from its slower, more ancient forms into something much closer to the game we know today.
Yes, this is the era when modern chess was born.
Hmm.
We see a significant shift in the pace and dynamism of the game, thanks to some crucial rule changes.
What were the key changes that sparked this transformation?
The most revolutionary change was the empowerment of the queen.
Okay.
Before this period, she had very limited movement.
Right.
But in the 15th century, two weaker pieces,
Oh, yeah.
the furs, counselor, and the phila, elephant, were replaced with the powerful queen we know today,
Right.
capable of moving long distances diagonally, horizontally, and vertically,
Yeah.
and the long-range bishop.
So the queen went from being a relatively minor piece to the most powerful force on the board.
It was a huge change.
Why such a drastic change?
It wasn't just a minor tweak. It was a revolution in chess strategy. This new queen completely reshaped the game, ushering in a faster, more dynamic, and aggressive style of play.
Some historians argue that this change wasn't just about making the game more exciting.
Right.
It reflected deeper shifts in society.
Yeah.
Could the queen's rise in chess have mirrored the growing influence of powerful women in Europe during this period?
It's a fascinating theory, and
Right.
while some historians dispute it,
Right.
the timing is certainly thought-provoking. The 15th century saw powerful female figures,
Yeah.
like Isabella I of Castile, who played a key role in unifying Spain,
Right.
and Queen Elizabeth I of England, who oversaw a period of great cultural and political change.
Yeah.
This was an era where the influence of women was increasingly felt in various spheres of life.
And what about the strategic implications of this new, powerful queen?
Right.
Did it completely change how the game was played?
Absolutely. Early chess, with its slower pace and weaker queen,
Right.
relied heavily on positional play and slow maneuvers.
Okay.
But with the empowered queen, the game became much more dynamic and tactical. Attacks could be launched from across the board, and the queen became a central figure in both attack and defense.
It's almost like the game evolved to reflect a changing world. Like
Exact-
faster, more dynamic,
Yeah,
with a new appreciation for the power of decisive action.
exactly. And this shift is reflected in some of the earliest written works on chess theory that emerged around this time. Like the book Repetición de Amores y Arte de Ajedrez
Wow.
by Luis Ramirez de Lucena, published in 1497.
Interesting.
These works outline new strategies and tactics tailored to this new era of chess.
So this new version of chess, with its empowered queen and faster pace, quickly gained popularity.
It did, sweeping across Europe and becoming the standard form of the game.
Okay.
It was a true turning point in chess history, marking the birth of modern chess as we know it.
This faster-paced chess required players to think differently to adapt their strategies.
Right.
It's amazing how one rule change could have such a profound impact. What stands out to you, listener, about this pivotal period in chess history?
Yeah.
Now, as we move into the 19th century, we see chess undergoing another transformation,
Okay.
evolving from a pastime into a recognized sport.
Exactly. The 19th century was a period of significant change, not just for chess, but for the world in general.
Yeah.
We see the rise of industrialization, new forms of communication, and a growing fascination with competition and organized sport. Chess, with its intellectual rigor and strategic depth,
Right.
was perfectly positioned to ride this wave.
What were the key developments that propelled chess into the realm of sport?
A major catalyst was the rise of international chess tournaments.
Okay.
The first international tournament, held in London in 1851,
Hmm.
attracted players from across Europe and signaled the growing popularity and competitive spirit of the game.
And this tournament sparked a wave of similar events across Europe.
Precisely. These tournaments helped standardize rules,
Okay.
fostered a sense of community among players, and brought recognition to top players.
And with this growing recognition came the desire to crown a champion,
Yes,
leading to the establishment of the World Chess Champion title in 1886.
yes. The first official world chess champion was Wilhelm Steinitz,
Hmm.
a brilliant Austrian-American player who revolutionized chess strategy with his positional approach. His victory marked a turning point, solidifying chess's status as a serious sport with a global champion.
It's incredible how chess went from informal games in coffee houses and private clubs to international competitions with world-renowned champions.
It's a testament to the game's enduring appeal.
As the game became more popular and competitive,
Right.
the need for a governing body became clear. This led to the founding of the International Chess Federation, or FIDE, in 1924.
FID was a huge step forward for chess, establishing a formal structure for the game.
What were some of the key roles FID played in the development of chess as a sport?
FID standardized rules,
No.
organized international tournaments like the Chess Olympiad,
Right.
and established a system for ranking players. It also created the Women's World Chess Championship in 1927,
Right.
recognizing the growing number of women playing the game at a high level.
The first women's world champion was Vera Menchik,
She was.
a truly remarkable player.
Menchik dominated women's chess in the 1920s and 1930s and even competed successfully against top male players.
It's fascinating to see how chess mirrored the development of other sports during this period. There was a growing emphasis on organization, standardization, and formal competition, both nationally and internationally.
Yeah.
Chess was no longer just a pastime. It was a sport with its own governing body, official championships, and a growing global following.
And with this formal structure in place, chess was poised for even greater growth and development in the 20th century.
So we've seen chess evolve from its ancient origins, spread across continents, transform its rules, and emerge as a recognized sport. What are your thoughts, listener? Can you imagine what it must have been like to witness these transformations firsthand? We're about to enter a period where chess encounters a new challenger, one that would forever change the game: the rise of the computer. Now, as we enter the latter half of the 20th century, we encounter a development that would forever alter the landscape of chess: the rise of computer chess.
Yeah, this is where chess meets the digital age, and it's a fascinating and sometimes unsettling chapter in the game's history.
It really does feel like something out of science fiction. Humans facing off against machines in a battle of wits. How did this all begin?
Well, early attempts at computer chess were quite rudimentary. The first chess-playing programs were limited in their ability to calculate moves and lacked the strategic depth of human players.
I imagine those early programs were no match for even an average club player.
Exactly. But as computing power increased and programming techniques advanced, chess engines became increasingly sophisticated. By the 1970s, there were programs capable of challenging strong amateur players.
So the machines were starting to catch up. When did computers truly begin to pose a threat to the best human players?
The 1990s marked a turning point. We saw the development of chess engines like Deep Blue, created by IBM, which used brute force computational power to evaluate millions of moves per second.
That brings us to the legendary match between Garry Kasparov, the reigning world chess champion, and Deep Blue in 1997.
A true watershed moment in chess history. Kasparov, considered by many to be the strongest player in the world at the time, lost to Deep Blue in a highly publicized six-game match.
That must have sent shockwaves through the chess world.
It did. Some saw it as a sign that computers were on the verge of surpassing human intelligence. Others argued that Deep Blue's victory was more about brute force calculation than genuine understanding of chess strategy.
I imagine the debate about the nature of intelligence and creativity really heated up after that match. Can a machine truly think like a human, or is it just mimicking thought through complex calculations? It's a question that philosophers and computer scientists are still grappling with today.
Right. And this brings up another crucial point. Deep Blue's victory wasn't just about a computer beating a human. It was about changing the very nature of chess.
How so?
Well, with the rise of powerful chess engines, players now had access to tools that could analyze positions with a depth and speed that no human could match. This led to a revolution in chess analysis and preparation.
So instead of just relying on intuition and experience, players can now use computers to analyze openings, evaluate complex positions, and even identify their own weaknesses.
Exactly. It's like having a grandmaster level coach available at any time. But some argue that this reliance on computers has come at a cost.
What do you mean?
Some worry that over-reliance on chess engines might stifle creativity and intuition in human players. They argue that the beauty of chess lies in its blend of logic, intuition, and psychological warfare elements that machines may never fully replicate.
So as we enter the 21st century, chess finds itself at a crossroads. On one hand, we have these incredible technological tools that have deepened our understanding of the game. On the other hand, there's a question of whether these tools are changing the very essence of what it means to be a chess player.
It's a fascinating dilemma.
What are your thoughts, listener? Do you think computers enhance chess or detract from it?
Mm.
So we've journeyed from chess's mysterious origins to its transformation into a global sport and its encounter with the digital age. It's a story that spans centuries and continents, touching on themes of war and peace, logic and creativity, human brilliance, and the rise of artificial intelligence.
And it's a story that's still being written. With new technologies constantly emerging, the future of chess is full of possibilities, and perhaps even a few more revolutions.
Exactly. Will human players find new ways to adapt and compete with increasingly powerful computers? Will we see the emergence of new chess variants designed specifically for human-computer collaboration? Or will artificial intelligence eventually surpass human capabilities altogether, leaving us to marvel at the game from the sidelines?
These are questions that will continue to be debated and explored in the years to come.
What an incredible journey through time, wouldn't you say, listener? We've seen empires rise and fall, technology revolutionize our world, and yet throughout it all, the game of chess has endured, captivating minds, challenging us to think strategically, and perhaps even revealing something about ourselves along the way. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the history of chess. We hope you've enjoyed exploring this fascinating game, and perhaps you'll even be inspired to dust off that chessboard and make a few moves of your own. Until next time, keep those minds sharp, and remember, in the grand game of life, as in chess, every move counts.